Thursday, April the 18th, 2017. Ross Jason Bowen Lyon, the Comox Valley. Echo is now extinct. We're going to talk about the labor board and how we can fix crime prevention and labor relations that employees never get left out of their wages. It's called having an operating loan for labor in an account for any business license out there. So all labor will be in the bank at all times. You do the time, you get paid for it, just like it's supposed to be. We look at it as this. And the further thing, after Trudeau talks, you'll see. From Joe Reeves, as of today, over $8,000. Kevin Bonner, $4,000. Taxes, $500. My tax form that I just filled out, $1,000, and they say I don't get anything back. They re-advise it. When I owed $500, they wanted it right away. They didn't re-advise it and say, you don't owe us anything, Ross Lye, at all. So, where's my $1,000? If I filled out the taxes, you're going to torture me and psychologically harm me some more with another government agency on the phone, in paperwork or whatnot. Whatever. Slavery. I'm already living under Article 25, below the poverty line, and the Charter of Human Rights. Cruel act of punishment. There's not enough jobs out there, and our labor at 1075 isn't enough to live by. The United Nations already told you many times over and over the years. Also, for an old damage deposit from Ken Pelling, you'll see the check there for $400. As of today, $3,600 is the interest today it comes up to since 1994. Didn't want to pay for it. House was clean and whatnot. He says there was dents in the door. I had to pay for a door. A door doesn't cost $400. And I never put no dents in no door. Need the money back, Ken. Last time I saw you, you were a little angry. We're at the superstore. You came up behind me in the pharmacy. You and your wife. I ain't a slave. Shouldn't feel like a slave. Shouldn't be degraded. Human rights laws and ethics. And have scenario after scenario after scenario of different agencies and organizations and subcontractors assault me for over 20 years as well. Like I said, operating loans. Anybody who wants a business license has to have a bank account with money in there declaring that you have the money for your labor. Just like when you go do a job, you do a bid on the materials, you have to get a loan or whatnot. You get a loan. The bank gives you a loan. Well, the bank gives you operating loan, it sits in there. You can't touch that money at all. You can touch your materials, one, because you have to buy your materials. Well, they control how much is there. End of the year, you hope you made enough to pay it back and make profit for yourself and your labor as well. How else can you fix it so nobody has to go through a labor board, feel belittled, tortured, psychologically assaulted, and never want to go through that procedure again of working and not getting paid by an employer? It's the only way about it. Pain and suffering, well, no difference in sexual harassment at the workplace or bullying at the job place by workers' compensation or WorkSafe BC, is what I'm saying. Who needs to be abused anymore in life? Family violence as well. Psychologically harming. What parents owe you? Well, as of today, 100,000 plus, 140 more like, and little brother is maybe 60,000, over $3,000, 35, 36,000, whatever the pound of weed cost that he stole, and started a little bullshit psychological abuse, like it says in one of my other videos of family violence to my dad, another person. That, hey, you borrow the money, you pay for it. Can't go bankrupt. You're the reason why we have deadbeat parents and inflation. 100 years ago, 160 acres was $10 in the city of Toronto or Vancouver. It was $100 for a lot. You maybe made 2 cents an hour. We make $10.75 an hour, and that's right. We pay anywhere from $2.4 million for that lot in Vancouver or Toronto, or $300,000 to $400,000 in the Comox Valley. And we're also going to talk about Local 179 union. I was supposed to be making $11.50 an hour out there as a first year They only paid me $9 an hour, knocked off $3. Over a year, that's $5,000 or 45 at least, 1,800 hours full time, and that was 1997, 98. Over 20 years, that'd be about 18,600. So, what's that mean? I don't know. Slave labor again. You didn't pay me full wages. Another human rights laws and ethics violation by the United Association of Plumbers, Pipers, out of Regina, 179. Had to do something with my uncle Ken Bush, did it? And Mark Blairjon and Intercity Mechanical. That's where it happened. Anyhow, let's hopefully get some repercussions and get this money flowing so I can have, I don't know, pain and suffering and all that. You figure out the numbers. I don't need to. Go through the video, listen to Trudeau, and everything else. That's my solution on fixing it. Operating loans with wages guaranteed in a bank that the employer can't touch if you want your business license. Pretty simple, common sense. Not some bike gang or organization trying to psychologically harm somebody for an unfair trial to harm somebody for a lifetime. Why people go postal by Billy the Kid. A long, drawn-off process, psychologically making somebody's life worse and worse and worse all along the way. You look it up.
Hi everyone, bonjour tout le monde. I'm Justin Trudeau. I want to wish you a happy Pink Shirt Day. Merci de porter une chemise rouge aujourd'hui pour appuyer cette cause importante. Pink Shirt Day started several years ago after a Nova Scotia high school student was bullied for wearing a pink shirt. The next day, many of his classmates showed up to school wearing pink shirts to stand up against bullying. Pink Shirt Day est un exemple parfait de l'impact que l'on peut avoir lorsqu'on parle d'une même voix, lorsqu'on travaille ensemble pour apporter un changement positif et qu'on encourage les autres à faire de même. Nous savons tous que l'intimidation peut poser un problème majeur. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me is simply not true. Words do hurt, and bullying can leave long-lasting emotional and physical scars. À tous ceux qui se sentent seuls, anxieux ou emprisonnés, you are not alone. You are supported. You are loved. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes réunis pour dire non à l'intolérance et oui à l'inclusion. On dit non à l'intimidation et oui à la gentillesse. We remember that our differences are a source of strength, not weakness, and that kindness is one size fits all. It takes all of us speaking in one voice to stand up to bullying together. So let's embrace our differences and be open with one another. It's about respect. It's about being Canadian. Thank you. Merci.
Hello everyone. At school or online, bullying is never the answer. Be kind, be courageous, and speak out. And let's stop bullying together.
Laws and human rights violations of the Comox Valley, Human Resources or Income Assistance, the Labor Board, the Ombudsman Person of British Columbia, nothing ever getting done properly, criminal harassment or bullying at the workplace like for people who are impoverished, who can't get a leg up to get back into society. How minimum wage changed since the 1970s and housing were $200 a month and they're making 26 or $20 an hour journeyman rate to minimum wage in Europe now is $20 an hour in Britain to a living wage in Canada or British Columbia that's still not enough for one person. It's discrimination if one person can't get a living wage and you have to be married to have a living wage. Discrimination. All people need a working wage of $50 to $100 an hour to live in this world now. Raise the minimum standard of living of minimum wage and they hugely increase properties and goods unrealistically.
Denied even basic standards of food, water. Nearly half of the world's population earns less than
There's a mistake. I earn more than this.
Seems okay to me, kid. Maybe you should check your math, huh? Hey there. Hey, boss. See what you got. Maybe you should check yours.
These are all government agencies that I dealt with since 1999, starting with social services. It says 1998 when it was 1999 summertime, because in 1998 I was in Regina working. Joe Reed's, I worked there for 1 month for $50 a month. Labor Board tossed it out, says I can't get my money from them either. I have to take it to court. Everything has to go to court. Labor Board can't find money. They give business licenses out. It's not a big corporation, and a big corporation's going bankrupt. Then this is what happens. They notify the people, and they lose their jobs, and they know ahead of time, usually 3 months ahead of time, that they're going bankrupt. Business knows how many people they can hire and how much labor they can pay out. This is ridiculous. The Labor Board has done this. Bob Carell or Robert Carell of the Comox Valley. It's criminal harassment and bullying at the job place, just the same amount of time as that is, that they say they're going to pay you and mislead you, and in the end you have to go to a labor board and be bullied into going there and psychologically cowed that the government is backing the employer and not getting your labor for doing your labor. Slave labor. More trafficking of humans as well. Proving the RCMP and the government is trying to get people into the court system to cause even more havoc. Just like later on, you see this one for Kevin Bonner in the renovation group, that they still owe me $800 plus interest under Section 88 as well. And Bob Carell or Robert Carell of the Labor Board can't get my wages in his tribunal, then it's a useless faculty of the government as well, that we have 16 different tribunals or mediation rooms, and in the end, they all want you to go to the Supreme Court and file for, small claims court, I think it's called. Absolutely ridiculous. If you're giving business licenses out, you better have the money. And if the government can't come up with the money from the employer, then they better be coming out of their pocket, the government. We're not slaves in the 21st century of 2016, and this is absolutely pathetic. Also, the Ombudsman, the last 2 pages is my complaints on stuff with Invega and treatment and social services as well. Criminal harassment since 1999, 2000 of torture and mind games with social services and being charged with uttering threats, then it being tossed out, then life getting even more difficult, like Billy the Kid said. Till my extinction, they won't stop, and they've got my extinction because of the lethal injection and capital punishment of psychiatric drugs, sterilizing and spading people and lobotomizing and making them into zombies. In a concentration camp where everybody's starving to death and losing their nutritional values, and their teeth and their bones are getting brittle and breaking and rotting out because they don't have enough foods in their body. And the food bank and the soup kitchen isn't good enough for food, according to Dietitian Canada.
Steven. There, right here. I'll take him right there. Alright, take you. You, right here.
denied, was told I needed a 2-year diploma to be a military police officer, and you look at the recruiting thing and the video next, you don't need it. They hire and train you there after basic training. YouTube sites for the following videos as well that's coming up right now and more. Careers in the Canadian Forces. That's right, discrimination, equal opportunity.
Being a member of the Canadian Forces requires dedication and
No
perseverance.
discrimination.
In order
Like
to
the
apply,
video
you must first
of playing
meet
a
a
game of
few
soccer.
basic
Your
requirements.
equal opportunity to try out for the team.
To join the regular force, you must be a Canadian citizen. You must be 18 years old or 17 with parental consent. You must also have completed grade 10 or secondaire 4 in Quebec. Full-time students can join the reserves at 16. The minimum contract length for the regular force is usually 3 years, but contracts are longer for paid education programs. Part-time employment in the reserves does not have such obligations. There are also minimum medical standards and general appearance regulations to follow. Knowing these ahead of time will help when you make your decision to apply. If you decide a career with the Canadian Forces is right for you, there will be 6 steps to your application process. Step 1 is to submit your application. The process is the same for full and part-time positions. You will first create a secure account to fill out the application form and submit it electronically. You will then need to mail in photocopies of your birth certificate, a piece of government-issued photo ID, transcripts from your highest level of education, proof of trade qualifications or professional licenses, and any additional forms required for the specific job or program you selected. Step 2 is to fill out reliability screening forms. This ensures that you are trustworthy with sensitive information and equipment. The Canadian Forces will verify all the information you submit, so be completely honest when filling out the required forms. You will also need to provide personal references who are not family members. You must then disclose any legal obligations, such as parole, or how you plan to repay any significant personal debts. You may also need to provide your fingerprints for a criminal record check. If you have ever lived outside of Canada or have an immediate family member who lives outside Canada, you will have to complete an additional questionnaire. When this clearance pre-assessment is required, it can take between 6 to 18 months to compile the necessary documents from security forces in other countries. Step 3 is an aptitude test to determine which military occupations are the best fit for you. Preparation is key, so make sure to download the practice test at forces.ca to get a sense of the questions, format, and time restrictions. Rewriting the test is only allowed in certain conditions, so make sure you are healthy, well-rested, on time, and careful with your answers. Step 4 is a 2-part medical exam. First, there is a questionnaire on your medical history. You will need to provide specific information about your medications. Then the medical staff will conduct a physical exam to measure your height and weight and evaluate your vision, color perception, and hearing. The second part is the medical file review to determine any limitations that will affect your training and career. Part-time employment in the reserves also requires that you pass a fitness test. You may be asked to submit additional reports from your doctors, which are your responsibility to secure. The application process will take longer if the Canadian Forces medical staff requires official letters from specialists on your behalf. Step 5 is an interview with a military career counselor. It is your official job interview and a very important step. The application process is very competitive. You will be asked questions about your work history, knowledge of the Canadian Forces, and understanding of the job you selected. Do your research by reading about life as a military member at forces.ca and do a lot of personal reflection on what you want from the Forces. Remember that every career in the Canadian Forces, including part-time employment, requires you to be combat ready. The 6th and final step of your application is enrollment. If the Canadian Forces offer you a job, you will have 10 days to make your decision. If you accept, you will receive joining instructions to explain the next phase, including an enrollment ceremony and basic training. This is when your true commitment begins. To learn more about the Canadian Forces application process, click Apply Now on forces.ca.
I'm Major Adam Batista from Saint-Jean, Quebec. I'm a military police officer and the Commandant of the Canadian Forces Military Police Academy in Borden, Ontario.
I'm Captain Kirsten Pilat from Halifax, Nova Scotia, a military police officer and operations officer for the Canadian Forces National Investigation Service in Ottawa, Ontario.
Military police officers lead and support approximately 1,300 military police who serve a community of 90,000 regular and reserve force members of the Canadian Armed Forces in Canada and around the world. We're officers who ensure the safety of the civilian and military communities in which we serve through crime prevention and law enforcement activities. We also deploy domestically and internationally as part of the Canadian Armed Forces, ensuring that discipline and the rule of law are maintained. As a military police officer, your job is to provide leadership and direction to the military police and guidance to other leaders in the forces on issues that affect security and policing services.
Your job is to lead the men and women under your command to ensure that they have the support they require to successfully complete their missions. You'll receive extensive specialized training and you'll be given numerous opportunities to hone your skills and accumulate professional experience.
In most other law enforcement organizations, you start off on patrol and often remain there for several years or even your entire career. Opportunities for senior level training are limited. As a qualified military police officer, you won't be stuck on patrol. The types of duties you perform can change regularly. There are many opportunities to advance your career and to use your leadership skills and training immediately under supervision as a junior officer.
If you're accepted as a military police officer, you'll go through basic officer training in Saint-Jean, Quebec, followed by Common Army Phase training in Gagetown, New Brunswick, where you'll be instructed in basic combat leadership tactics and skills for officers. Then you'll head to the new state-of-the-art Canadian Forces Military Police Academy in Borden, Ontario, to complete your military police officer course.
The basic officer training course lasts about 20 weeks. It covers a huge range of topics from enforcing Canadian criminal and military laws to military code of service discipline to learning the basics of police work, including lawful use of force when making an arrest.
Hey, stop! Stop! Push door, reach her up.
The course not only trains you to be a police officer, but also how to lead them. You'll graduate with an in-depth understanding of the tasks your men and women will perform and how you can best support them.
After you complete your military police officer training, you may be put in charge of a military police detachment, conducting day-to-day policing activities, or a field platoon preparing for the next Canadian Armed Forces deployment. This is the only police force where you can be employed not just anywhere in Canada, but anywhere in the world. We're this country's frontline police service.
Later in your career, you will have the chance to undergo specialized training in security, surveillance, close protection, working as an air marshal, cybersecurity, drug interdiction, counterintelligence, and even major crime investigations, often in collaboration with other Canadian and international police corps. As a military police officer, most of your time is spent on the management and administration of your command. You're responsible for your subordinates, infrastructure, and overseeing operations. This primarily involves a lot of planning, organization, and providing personal guidance and direction to your team.
My MP worked for me. They do the policing and I work for them, ensuring they have the tools, the training, and support to do their jobs. Whether it's taking care of their professional development, their leave, or some personal issue, it's all part of being an officer to me.
The way I look at it is we're a team. I have my job and they have theirs. I respect them for what they do and I work hard to earn their respect. That's what makes an effective military police commander. I know the decisions I make in battle or in routine policing will have an impact on the military police in my unit. Some could make the difference between life and death. So I need them to trust me to make the right decisions. And in order for that to happen, we have to respect each other.
Since I joined the military, I've gained experience and skills that no other police organization can offer. I've traveled and worked with some of the finest police forces in Canada and around the world, and look forward to seeing you in the future.
Recruitment for the RCMP/police and other government agencies like the military have changed their application forms. It's not just born in Canada anymore. They allow permanent residents and landed immigrants to apply, which old-timers told me might be a hostile takeover by Britain, human control and trafficking us, discrimination against Canadian citizens, that were mentally ill or ill and can't defend or look after a country, so we cannot find jobs in this country either. Human trafficking, we're always being told we're not good enough, starting with step-parents who become our parents because they adopt us as well, who are from Hong Kong and are United Kingdom at that time till 1997. Always saying, wait till you get to the real world, and yelling and screaming at you all the time and hitting you.